All right, so this is the parotid gland, and out of the three salivary glands, the secretions for the parotid gland are going to be all serous. That's opposed to mucus, and you can tell the difference between serous and mucus because so these are serous gland cells here, and it looks kind of bubbly, whereas in a mucus gland, the bubbles are going to look a lot larger. Okay. And these are not mucus glands. These are actually fat cells, so they're adipocytes. All right, so here's one serous cell. Here's another one. And when they're grouped together like this, it's an acinus. So you can see lots of acini all over the parotid gland. All right, so we talked about the serous acinus here. Now let's talk about the ducts, because we definitely need to know the difference between the interlobular ducts and the interlobular ducts. But first, what the hell is a lobule, right? So let's zoom out. This is one lobule. You can see it's kind of separated from other lobules like this one with the connective tissue in the middle. So when you have ducts like this, when they're inside of the lobule, they'll be intralobular ducts. Whereas in the connective tissue, you'll have interlobular ducts in between the two lobules. All right, so the two different kinds of intralobular ducts are intercalated and striated, and Dr. Chirico said we do need to know the difference between the two. Striated ducts are a little easier to find, so let's start with those first. So these are all striated ducts. This is one. Here's another one. So these epithelia are got a tall columnar. You see these little lines, which are the striations. They're infoldings of the basement membrane with mitochondria. And the nuclei are in the middle of the cell. So that's how you tell it's a striated duct. I wouldn't be surprised if they ask for a myoepithelial cell within a striated duct. So my strategy for that is I look for a decent cross-section. So here we go. What I mean by that is all the nuclei of the duct cells are kind of lined up together. That way, when you see a cell that's kind of off to the side towards the basement membrane, you can be pretty confident that that is a myoepithelial cell. So these three, I'd be very happy to point out as myoepithelial cell. Here's another one. Yeah, you don't want to mess with something like this, like a weird oblique cut. Okay, so the intercalated ones, these guys right here, these are a little more challenging, right? So this is a low cuboidal epithelium. Low cuboidal meaning it's so short that it's almost squamous. All right, so you're looking for something that does not look like a striated duct and does not look like a serous acinus. And I find it much easier to look for it in kind of a longitudinal cut. So something like this. Here are your serous acini. Right? All of these guys are the serous acini. Here's one of the intercalated ducts. See my cursor is going along the lumen of the duct. Here's your short cuboidal cell. Here's another one. There's another few cells. Let's see if I can find a better example. I see another one here. Oh, here we go. Here's one of your serous acini. Here's your intercalated duct. Here's the lumen. Here's a cuboidal cell. See how that looks very different from a striated duct. All right, here's another one. Serous acini, very large striated duct. And here's your lumen of the intercalated duct. Right, so this one's probably another one, but I'd be less happy pointing that one out. All right, so you want to be careful. You don't want to see. This is why I don't like to look for the cross-section ones. Like you might be tempted, oh, maybe this is a intercalated duct, but you can kind of see striations. It looks kind of like this, so I would say this is probably still a striated duct. All right, and another thing I wanted to point out, if you're asked to point out an interlobular duct, you want to pick something like this, right? So this is the connective tissue in between two lobules. So I would point something out like this, where you have, tall columnar-looking cells, might even be stratified. Something like this, or like that. What you don't want to point out is one of these. This is a blood vessel. See, this is a very flat, this is a squamous epithelium. This is the endothelium of a blood vessel. And these are all smooth muscle cells. All right. I don't think we'll have to be able to differentiate interlobular and interlobar, just because, as far as I know, there's only 2 lobes in the parotid gland. That's more of like a macro thing, not so much a histological thing. And that's it. So good luck. Happy hunting.